Expressing your love can look many different ways. And with the right jewelry gift from Blue Nile, it can truly sparkle. Blue Nile's collection of classic diamond jewelry makes for the kind of gift that speaks volumes without saying a single word. Or switch things up with a sapphire piece sure to spark conversation. Either way, Blue Nile's Diamond Guarantee ensures you get the highest quality at the best price. Express yourself with Blue Nile, the original online jeweler, at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
You know, I'm a lover of love. I'm a lover of God. I'm a lover of the beautiful game. And to me, if you didn't come out of that game last night knowing that the game is bigger than all of us,
oh yeah,
and that Messi is bigger than all of us, then that's a problem.
Boom.
My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer, whiskey, wine or gin. Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another episode of the Shades of Blue Soccer Show. We are the KC Soccer Journal. My name is Cody Bradley. Thad Bell and Robert Russert are here. And we are joined by a very special guest, Cheyenne of Between Clean Sheets fame on Twitter and Instagram. Cheyenne, welcome.
It's me. Hi. Thank you for having me.
Isley Brothers fan. That's got to be a reference to the Isley Brothers, no?
It actually is not. It's a reference to Between Two Ferns, that short-lived but legendary Zach Galifianakis show, which, by the way, I am not attempting to emulate, but I do like the Isley Brothers. So it can be both. It can be whatever you want it to be.
Okay, I'm going to go with the Isley Brothers.
It's now both for you.
Okay, now does Cody have any idea who the Isley Brothers are?
Oh, who do you think you're talking to
Oh,
here,
hey,
Robert?
this is what I wanted to find out right here.
Cheyenne, we are very happy to have you in Kansas City. You are doing something that I think is very cool, and I think people should go follow you on all of your Twitters at Between Clean Sheets. I'm jealous of what you're doing. Tell the people what you are doing.
I'm having an existential crisis in a very fashionable way.
Know thyself. I love it.
Right. I won't even say that's a joke. It's true. However, I feel like this is the best way to enjoy soccer, and I'm attempting to make the rest of my year doing so. I've been creating content about American soccer for a while now, but this year I'm doing it on the road in a 94 Toyota Hiace that is currently on its way over from Tokyo.
Yes.
And it gets into
That's
Tacoma.
a van. She got a van. She's doing the van life is what we're getting at here.
Yes, it is like the Sprinter van of Asia.
Yes, it is the Sprinter. Whatever you're picturing in your head, that is pretty much what this looks like.
But listen, because it's foreign, it's automatically cooler. So my parents have a Sprinter van right now, and you see them everywhere. I think Amazon drives Sprinter vans to deliver all your packages. So I felt like this was the quirkiest option possible.
Those are electric Rivians now, though. Those are a little nicer than I think the...
Saw one of those in the parking lot last night. I had no idea what it was. I had to look it up.
Electric
What is
Rivian?
that?
Yeah,
For
Rivian.
Amazon?
Yeah, that's what they're using, Rivian vans.
Sounds like a band name.
Listen, did I not say before we press record that at some point we were going to talk more? I was going to be forced through this decision to talk about cars more than I felt comfortable. Now I'm like, I'm going to be found out as a fraud. Someone's going to ask me what inch rims I have, and I won't know how to answer. And I know it's a 2-wheel drive. It takes diesel exclusively.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. It's got about 14 feet of cargo space, and it's right-hand drive, obviously. And I'm spending the next 6 weeks in the Pacific Northwest hanging out. I really am trying to stay.
Now Cody's really
Everywhere.
jealous.
Yeah, the PNW.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
Now,
told me
is
that
it-
the other night. We already talked about it. I already told her, yeah.
Is it like a tiny house inside this van? Or
Right
what?
now, it just has 2 rows of seats.
All
So on top of all of this, although I guess not even on top, this is the base thing I'm doing. I'm trying to figure out how to live in it. But while I'm living in it, I'll be doing soccer. I'm not going to do a build out right away. I think, especially because it's so new to me, I want to be able to shift it around as I see fit. But
Yeah, got to live the life a little bit before you know what you need in the van.
right.
There you go.
I do know I'm taking out the last row of seats, and then the second row swivels. So the idea is to do interviews out of it, use it as a tailgate space. I even had ideas of some of these USL teams that have a history, and I mean, people like us who have memorabilia and great stories from years ago, bringing that memorabilia to the van and kind of showing it off. Or I recently started like remaking pieces of clothing with jerseys. I sewed an entire hoodie out of the Atlanta 404 kit, and I thought I would love to hang that up in the van, almost like show people my wares and say, come hang out in my van while I talk to you about soccer. So yeah, that's the plan. And I'm here as like the connection from Georgia, where I was, to Washington State, and I'm going there next week. So
Yeah, I
Pretty
just think
sweet.
it's very cool.
Yeah.
Quit
It
a
is.
job to go just live this fun life and make content and watch soccer.
yeah,
I love it.
And maybe get paid for it.
Yeah,
Maybe.
TBD. That's the hope for sure.
that's right.
I just want the ability to tell a story in a as crisp and clean a way as possible. Right now, I don't even think I can get like lighting and audio right, maybe 50% of the time. So
That's how you learn, right?
That's 50% better than most people get.
that makes me feel good.
Well, the occasion that brought you here in your travels was Inter Miami, Inter Messi at Arrowhead. At least one of the reasons. I think you're going to be here next week. You got to see the rivalry game.
Yes. So I actually was supposed to have my van by now. And when I have been planning this whole trip, to see 2 games back to back like that made me feel like staying in Kansas City was perfect for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, what have you. And even though I didn't have the van and was still waiting, I didn't want to cancel the flights because I thought, you know what? I used to live in Kansas City in 2017, 2018, and I never made it to Arrowhead. And that would be probably the best way to see Messi, because I'm not going to go out of my way to see Miami just because they're different right
Yeah.
now. Like, I've always been bored by them. I'll pay attention for a little bit, but I have to clarify that I'm a fan of soccer like 80% of the time in person. I'm going to games all the time. I travel for games all the time just for fun. So
And third tier games sometimes, and
Yeah.
Open Cup
Oh,
games
yeah.
with 100 people at them.
right in Statesboro, Georgia, of all places. I'll do plenty more of those trips too in the van, but I felt like if I was going to pick any IRL situation, that Messi at Arrowhead would be a good one. So it was my first time there last night.
Well, it was a very big night. Record-breaking crowd, 72,610. Suck it, St. Louis. Third highest MLS regular season game of all time. It was a spectacle. I know the question of them moving it wasn't exactly popular with a lot of people. That is a little bit of a hater. David's not here, thankfully, so he can't hate on Messi. I'm going to go to Cheyenne, your third-party objective point of view. What did you think of this game last night?
You know, the purist in me would have said, I wish they had it at Children's Mercy to treat Miami just like every other team.
Amen.
However, when Peter Vermes in the press conference yesterday talked about some of the guys on the team experiencing that crowd for the first time and knowing that that situation would never happen at Children's Mercy Park, but also could potentially never happen for those guys based on their professional destiny, I then put it in perspective and thought, you know what? I'm going to defer to their opinion because they're the ones living and breathing all of this every single day. And I am simply the consumer and fan. So in that situation, I kind of deferred to the team and thought, oh, okay. Now, how the team interacted with Messi, we can get to, but I have strong opinions on that.
I saw Agata apologize to him at one point. Bumped into him, was like, oh, sorry, man, sorry.
Oh, jeez. Come on. He's
Come
a
on.
dense dude.
That happens
He's
at
packed
every
in.
MLS game.
He'll be
Come on.
okay.
Oh, man. Thad, what did you think of last night? You had the field level view.
First, I had to go to the press box and get that view because that is a really interesting view from way the hell
Yes,
up
the
there.
bird's nest up there.
And then I went down to the field early, and that was just a pain in the ass going through all those tunnels and trying to figure out where I'm going.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
how decrepit it looks down there.
You don't remember from back in the days?
I've only shot there twice.
Why don't they
Yeah.
ask for a tax increase to upgrade that place?
What an idea. But then just how tight it is also, like on the edges, because we were supposed to be able to go from either end, but we couldn't because they decided at the last minute that it was too tight. So we would have had to go up and around and back down the other side. It would have been So I just stayed on one end, but hey, I got to see Messi. Yay! I wish he would not have scored, but again,
There was more excitement about seeing Messi than I expected to come from you. So, all right, we got something.
well, no, I've always wanted to see Messi play. I just didn't want to spend $400 to go do it in Chicago for a friendly game of Argentina. I mean, I didn't care.
Yeah,
right?
but now you had to do it and watch him beat your team.
I know, like, as I'm not gonna say names, but I was in the locker room last night, and somebody's like, "Why do you not look happy?" And I'm like, as objective as I try to be when I cover this team, I'm still a fan of this team, and I don't like losing. I don't care. I would rather Messi have walked out, tripped, and went off the field because I would have got to see him, and it would have been nothing. I don't want him permanently hurt.
I'm going to tell him you said that.
Please do.
When he visits your van.
I would have liked to see Tim Melia stand on his head and prevent any goals, and Messi gets frustrated and all of that. That's for sure. It sucks that they didn't. I think the draw was there for them. That one play at the end that was pounced on, that really sucks. I think they played a good game, as Vermes said. So the draw was there. The result is unfortunate. But I must say, after it happened, like, I can't change anything. It's already happened. And I did get to see Lionel Messi, the greatest soccer player of all time, score a beautiful goal, make a beautiful pass. I saw it with mine own two eyes, Thad.
I got to see him running directly at me, like 20 feet away. I mean,
my
like,
God, really?
I didn't
him,
realize y'all had a
Suarez.
one-upper on the pod. Jeez.
I'm very excited for him.
That's all of us. Welcome, Cheyenne.
I understand the pushback on all this. Of course, I want MLS to be big enough. I want this team to be big enough that we play in a stadium that could handle that. I get the frustration about it. I understand why people wouldn't like it. But I do think last night was a beautiful thing. We're all here to grow the sport.
I'm here to win.
Okay, that's fair. But I think a vital part of being a soccer fan, an MLS fan in this country, is we all feel like a civic duty to help grow the game. And just, I don't want to be that guy because I do understand the frustration. But at the same time, there was a lot of kids there that made lifetime memories, got to have something that they'll never forget. And you know what? The number of people that will come back to another game is not zero. I don't know that MLS is doing this all the right way. I feel like it was the right choice to move it there, but I'm not gonna die on that hill. Last night was a beautiful thing. I'm happy everyone was out there. I get the Messi hate, but if there's one guy ever in the world, it's the greatest to ever do it. The best version of this game that we all love, and we got to see him actually do it on the field. It was a beautiful thing.
Cheyenne, I have to ask before I go on, where were you last night during the game?
The field?
All over. Okay, so yes, I was on the field. I had press credentials and had requested specifically just the ability to be able to bring my tripod and my lav mic in. And I ended up going on to the field down at the end where the cauldron were. And my credentials were not checked appropriately. And I realized that and realized there was really one opportunity for me to continue to stay down there. And that was to just wait it out from maybe 2 hours before kickoff until just before halftime. So I ended up getting some great fan content, which is what I set out to get. And then after that, I spent most of the second half in the press box.
Yeah.
Two
Okay,
phenomenal views. Yes,
So I
that was a long-winded way of
the
saying
only one out
that.
of all of us that was in the crowd. Okay, so that last night was the weirdest, wildest,
Yes.
scariest, but most amazing experience I've ever experienced.
Whoa.
Scariest?
Scariest.
So, I'm a lover of love. I'm a lover of God. I'm a lover of the beautiful game. And to me, if you didn't come out of that game last night knowing that the game is bigger than all of us,
Oh, yeah.
and that Messi is bigger than all of us, then that's a problem.
Boom.
I agree. And when you say scariest, I actually know exactly what you mean, having gone to 19 World Cup games in 16 days in Doha, which is a muted version of the World Cup, I will say. It was even some games are really overwhelming then. But I also went to a game at Azteca in Mexico City, and that was a far grittier stadium. So I think it even added to like the thrill of it all. But yeah, it weirdly does feel scary.
Well,
not like in a technical sense, I guess you should say.
But I mean, the scary part was just, okay, there were fans. There was a woman next to me standing into the, 18th minute. And this drunk guy behind her got pissed off, started yelling at her. He was being rude. He's being a jerk. And she's like, I have a right to stand, blah, blah, this whole deal. Beside that, though, the 4 pitch invaders. I mean, that's scary stuff.
There was more than 4.
Yeah,
I think
saw 4.
I counted 6.
Yeah, you counted 6.
Yeah.
That is scary stuff.
2 successful.
Yeah.
2 for sporting.
So did you guys come to the same conclusion that I did, that the people in the yellow coats are not allowed to tackle? Because they just watched that one guy run
they're
right by
inept.
them.
The blue shirts are there to tackle.
Right. But the yellow ones can't. They're just there to stand and be intimidating, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. I one yellow shirt tackled one pitch invader right in front of me.
Really? Okay.
Because jumped down, went over the thing, and this woman grabbed a kid running by and just essentially body slammed him. And the kid held his phone out to Johnny Russell. That was a Johnny.
I think theirs is what if they get past them, then they're not chasing. They're a line and they prevent people from going through it. Shout out to the guys in the blue for getting one of the pitch invaders before Messi's
Children,
bodyguard.
by the way, like preteens
Yeah,
and children.
they went and got a teenager. But one of them, they got to this guy, this kid, before Messi's, former Mossad bodyguard that they have. So well done. They got out there before him.
There was 2 of them being taken off too when I was waiting to try to get to the press conference, and I never saw them on the field, so they might have been even 2 more. I don't know.
Crazy. But the funniest thing, honest thing, I don't know what you want to call it, but if something would happen on the pitch, everybody in my section would turn around to see how Brittany and Patrick Mahomes were reacting because they were right behind us.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Robert, I like you being romantic about it because I was a little romantic about last night as well. Friend of the show, Zachary Cobb, compared this to saying that we turned Miami into the Harlem Globetrotters, which made Sporting Kansas City the Washington Generals. And the idea is that people are going to want to come watch the Washington Generals the next time. I get that logic, and I get the problem there. But like Robert said, if you just can't be a little bit romantic about what went on last night. And it's I'm fine with this. MLS is big enough and Sporting Kansas City is big enough that there are a lot of people that are bothered by this. But we're not quite there. I'm sorry. I am more mad that Sporting Kansas City isn't that big, that we're not already playing in a stadium that could hold that many people. That's what I'm mad about, the slow progress of the game. I'm not mad about the decision to move it here. It is a reality. Messi is the greatest player of all time. He carries with him a nation's worth of economy and money and fame and eyes. And I see no problem in the end with them doing this. Again, I don't know that they're doing all of the right moves. I don't know that Messi Mania, that, the way Twellman and that the broadcasts all talk about him at all times, I don't know if that's going about it the right way. I don't know if all of this is going to work. But the number of people at that game who will return is not 0.
I mean, what you're kind of alluding to in my mind also is that, we have 28 years of history, which is great, but we didn't start like English teams did. We don't have the history to reference somebody that people are familiar with, Wrexham. Okay, we don't have that. So we have to manufacture it. And how you go about that in today's society is social media. You got to get that ramped up. And how do you get that ramped up? You get it ramped up by bringing in Lionel Messi, David Beckham, et cetera. So we've got to manufacture some of that history, and that feels cheap to a lot of people, and I get that. But how else are you going to do it?
I will say, having gone to Atlanta, I haven't gone to Charlotte yet, but having gone to Atlanta, Austin, LAFC, as much as people call it plastic, those teams and their front offices have worked really, really hard to develop legitimate community. I go to Austin FC,
Here,
I
too.
don't think about, right. But those are, I'm naming all newer teams.
Yeah.
So I think the argument about history it's valid for some aspects of the game, but there's other times where I think I get annoyed because I lived in DC for the past 10 years and have been a DC United season ticket holder for 6.
Wow, it's been a rough time.
I literally
Condolences.
joined after that awful 2013 season, having no idea what they were like. And so I think that first year, everyone's like, we're so much better than we were before. And I'm like, okay, like this is fine. Yeah, it's brought nothing much. However, I do feel like these 96 teams aren't able to keep up in any other way than like roster rules and regulations. So it's like Columbus's rebrand has been really great, but for the longest time, I mean, they made it to the Cup in 2015, and I don't think map free was filled for that. But like leaning on this, what we used to be or how much we have, or hoping that our history would mean something, I kind of get annoyed that there's not anything being done with that, especially for DC United. So I'm
Well,
like,
you talked about building the community. And then Robert said here too, that was it. When we got this team, they built a covenant with the fan base. And we did have, like, there was the brand for a long time. They had an identity in the city, soccer capital of America thing. But I think, like you're saying, it has gone
Stale.
a little stale in the last, almost decade. So, yeah, I think that is a good point.
Well, part of my point that maybe didn't come through was if we want to get to a 70,000 seat stadium for our team, how are we going to get there? If you want to get there soon, the Messi type thing is how you kind of get there.
yeah. I'm just still, I give Atlanta, they've got Almada. Who did Charlotte bring in for their first?
Jalen Lindsay.
Former sporting player.
Well, yeah, Charlotte doesn't have like a huge name. Austin, not really.
Drusi, but not big.
Juicy is their big name.
Yeah.
In Austin. Yeah.
A lot of the newer teams can build off the fact that MLS has been there for 20 some odd years. So when they come in, they can also go to the teams that have had success building a new team and get all the hype. They can get all of that built in. So it's like a hype of a new team. St. Louis has done that. Austin, Atlanta, Charlotte.
Do we think they went to older teams and asked for their opinion though?
Oh, they did. And
Yeah.
they absolutely
for
did.
sure.
For a long time, Sporting was the model because after the rebrand,
Right.
Sporting was the hot thing for 3 or 4 years.
Y'all
right?
stadium too was like everyone patterned their stadium after
Right.
yours.
Yeah, so
Not even
it's-
just MLS teams.
It's all the teams building off the other team's success. And I've been at Children's Mercy Park when they were bringing other future teams in, potential owners, but they weren't even awarded teams yet, and they were bringing them in and showing them how things were working and stuff like that. So they do actually help out the other teams in that regard.
Yeah.
I still don't know that we need to move a game to Arrowhead to build Sporting's brand, and I still don't think that. I enjoyed last night, but I still think that was while everybody wanted to see Messi, I still think it was sacrificing a little bit of your own worth and your own opinion of yourself when Sporting's Twitter was like every 5 minutes it felt like
Oh,
we're
God.
talking about Messi. There's a goat stuck on a bridge. Oh, the goat's already here talking about Messi.
It felt like SKC admin was belaboring the point in those few days running up to it. Like, chill, man.
Promoted, I get that, but at the same time,
No, that's embarrassing.
It was
know.
embarrassing.
That is really embarrassing, actually.
Because the first one was like, whoa, dude, like what?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that was like a clever joke, but you shouldn't have been the one to make it. Everyone was kind of upset about it instantly, and then like a few hours later, they would do another one, and then the next day another one. Like, what are we doing?
It did get annoying.
yeah. So again, I know a lot of people have said, "Oh, this is just a money grab because you're going to sell like tickets and make several $1 million or whatever." I have no problem with money grabs. I just like, hey, this is a chance for us to make a lot of money and potentially invest in a new DP. I'd have been behind that.
Thad, how many Messi jerseys did we see in that locker room last night? We were really afraid of the traffic, so we just kind of lingered longer than I ever linger in a locker
It
room.
was specifically to talk to Fontes. It wasn't because we were just lingering.
Right, yeah. Fonte is apparently good friends with Busquets, the former Barcelona B guy. So he was in the Miami locker room for a very long time, and we just kind of hung out and we're talking to Johnny and Daniel, and there were, I think, at least 4 Messi jerseys, Thad.
Let's see. Rosero had one.
Danny got one. I think that was a game-worn one, right?
I think
Alan
so.
got one, didn't he? Or did he exchange with Messi?
See, I'm not sure on that.
Yeah.
Why would Danny have got it and then given it to Pulido unless Pulido paid him a lot of money?
There was
no way.
lots of extra jerseys. Fonte came back with 2 Messi jerseys and a Busquets
And a
jersey.
Busquets.
And
Those couldn't have been game worn though. Like he went into that locker room and then had Messi go to the kit man and like, hey, get my buddy 2 more.
Truly,
Yeah.
what is
Cheyenne,
the
that's
point?
a cue for you.
Yeah.
What was your line earlier? I don't want a jersey if
If doesn't have his sweat on it.
Same.
What is the point of a game worn or of having his jersey if it's not game worn?
If I can't clone Messi in 10 years with this jersey, then I don't want it.
I mean,
he won his DNA.
I feel like that's the whole excitement is like you played against him, you met him, you got a token
Right.
of this moment. If you wanted his jersey, you could go get it the same place everyone else got it.
Did you see Taylor Twellman tweet about this today? He retweeted the picture of Pulido holding up the jersey all pumped in the locker room after playing terrible.
Yes, and the annoying part was he looked like he was purposely creating an Instagrammable photo.
Oh,
in his
yeah.
pose, which I've done. I do every day. I do it. I do that
Cheyenne.
every day. However,
He has an Instagram presence.
he does. I get Taylor Tolman's point, which was he thinks it's embarrassing for players to do that, and so soon after a game, especially because of the way that he scored, or the way that he played, whatever. But I feel like the motivation is there, and that it is a very exciting experience. But to post right after the game. And I told you, Cody, Taylor Tolman is the exact kind of guy that would have done that.
He is exactly that player. He would have been exchanging that jersey as fast as he
Yes.
possibly could.
Yes.
He would have been the guy in training that he called it on Monday from all of his teammates.
Guys, just so you know, like once that whistle blows, I'll shake the ref's hand, but I'm going to him. It's mine. Don't even think about asking. If you want to ask for one, maybe I'll have a dry one in his other bag, but I get the one with sweat on it.
There would be a first half one and a second half one. So you might get the dried sweat.
Of course. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's how there's so many game-worn jerseys out there, if they're even real.
I just was always under the impression, well, for MLS specifically, I know we're talking about a different guy entirely, but the amount of times the kit guys that work on the team or the comms guys tell me that they have a very limited number of jerseys that they're allowed to give away. And then after that, I don't know if you're like fined the amount or if you're just fined or if it creates a logistical hassle, whatever. But we have to bear in mind, those are rules for dudes some of them who are making like $100,000 a year. I'm not saying that it's not something that they could afford, but like no one really exchanges jerseys. Really, it's the big guys. But then I'm also like, oh, so maybe the rule doesn't exist. It's just that like no one cares to share the jerseys in MLS normally.
So Thad, are you glad all of this brouhaha is done
Yes. Let's move
behind
on
us?
Let's move on to the actual regular games.
Yeah. Let's take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about the actual game.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Expressing your love can look many different ways. And with the right jewelry gift from Blue Nile, it can truly sparkle. Blue Nile's collection of classic diamond jewelry makes for the kind of gift that speaks volumes without saying a single word. Or switch things up with a sapphire piece sure to spark conversation. Either way, Blue Nile's Diamond Guarantee ensures you get the highest quality at the best price. Express yourself with Blue Nile, the original online jeweler, at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
All right, we're back. Quick break, huh, Cheyenne?
Very quick. I actually was planning to take a breath, but I stopped.
Breathing.
I was going to stop to apologize to the group that I feel like I'm rambling, but man, I'm still coming off of yesterday. And I know we talked about the atmosphere and our experiences, but I mean, that's completely separate of what it ended up being, a 5-goal game.
A thriller.
That's actually kind of crazy.
A thriller with some golazos, and not just from Lionel Messi. Eric Tommy had a great game, a brace from the German, Robert.
Yeah, I mean, which strike was better? Do we need to vote on that?
I mean,
Second
the second one got to be the volley, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tommy's second goal is best. Tommy's first goal is second best. Messi's goal is third.
I forgot
wasn't
my
gonna
pen.
include Messi's goal. I thought you were tired of Messi, but yet you throw him in. Okay.
Only to demean him.
He's such a hater. There's
But
no
you're wrong.
Tommy's first goal was very well taken. The keeper could have and should have had it if not for being blocked by a player. He didn't see it off the boot, and
That's his problem.
yeah, I know, absolutely. Well, very well done by Eric Tommy, but it wasn't better than Messi's.
No, it was not.
It wasn't better than
I'm
Messi's
sticking with my
golazo, I'm
story,
sorry.
man.
And you want to throw Messi in there? Let's talk about his assist. Come on.
Beautiful assist. Even
Sweet.
the pass was one thing, but that first touch is the one on the replay, that's what got me really excited, because that pass won't even be there if not for just, it's like he's just he's a fish in water. And that ball comes to any Sporting Kansas City player at that pace, at that height, there's no way they just drop the ball right there and then play a beautiful pass.
Thad, I think Cody is tingly right now.
I am tingling. It was fired at his knee. He just lifts his foot up. It drops right there. And all he needed was to look up for half a second. And then he plays a diagonal pass that beats 5 Sporting Kansas City players.
Oh, he was great pass. I'm not arguing that.
The beautiful game.
Tommy goal, Messi assist, Messi goal.
After both of those goals, I was just, the range of emotions going through me, especially after his banger. It sucks. I was there to root for Sporting Kansas City. I wanted to win that game very badly, but I also knew what I had just witnessed with my eyes when that went in. I didn't say anything. I just leaned back in my chair. What did I just see? And also, God damn it. It was just, I was feeling so many things, and that's why this game is so wonderful.
The press box had a reaction, but it was the kind of reaction you get when you know a putt is going in, but you cut off right before everyone cheers loudly. It was reaching a climax, and I thought, oh, okay. I didn't realize people reacted up here.
So yeah, the press box, it's almost soundproof. Like you can barely hear stuff out there unless it gets really loud.
Yes, absolutely.
So I did regret that part. You know, they had this security. My plan was to go down there, but everyone who said they left the press box to go down to a lower level had to go all the way back out to the parking lot, and it was just very complicated. So I never did it.
Yep.
And I obviously did want to feel and see and be with that crowd out there, but I couldn't. But man, even the press box, even with professionals in there, that feeling of, I know you can feel it watching Messi play on TV. Whenever he gets the ball, you can just feel the stadium lean forward. Whenever he lines up for this free kick, you just know something is about to happen. Everyone understands what's going on. And that was even happening in the press box. Paul Carr down there, Andy Edwards, all the professionals who've been doing this for a long time. I'm always over there fist pumping in the press box because I can't not. But you could even feel that in the press box of just on the edge of your seat. You just know something's going to happen.
Which for his standalone goal was actually kind of a shock to everyone.
Yeah.
So.
Because, like I said, he's just like a fish in water. That spot that he gets the ball, he was at the edge of the box, beyond the box, but it looked like he was taking the ball like in the 6-yard box. He just knows if he gets the ball right there that it's a goal. All he needs is that one touch to set it up. It's just like he was shooting a layup.
Can we talk tactical things right at this very moment?
Yes, please, or I'm never going to stop talking about Messi.
Thank you, Robert.
All right. So if I'm Felipe Hernandez, I'm thinking to myself, hey, Lionel Messi is right next to me right now. I'm going to stay with him. But no, Hernandez chases the ball, leaves Messi all alone, gives him that space, and that's the reason that Messi had space and time to deliver that shot. Felipe, what were you thinking?
Do you have any questions why Felipe is not normally playing?
Well, of course I do. Yeah.
He's only in there because Remi was hurt.
Yeah, which was a big deal. We'll talk about later, I'm sure. But.
And Messi, in this era of his career, is a master at making people on podcasts of his opposing team say this exact thing. Like, how is he open? He is a savant at finding space and standing still until the space is open. Then he goes there. It's not easy to guard him, Robert. I'm with you on you. People think I'm a Felipe.
He would have done a better job if he had stood where he was instead of doing what he did.
Yeah, maybe.
And in fairness, I'm trying to shoot the game, and all of a sudden Messi appears. It's like he teleports there, and he's just there. And I'm like trying to
he
find
was there
shots.
the whole time.
he has a cloaking device. I don't know, man. Again, never have argued about how good he is. That's never been anything I've disagreed with.
You brought up Felipe, which makes me think of Remi Walter going down in the first half, which I think was a massive part of this.
Yes.
I think that's why, it was thin margins in this game, and I think that was the difference. Because, man, this team, the way they have at the top of that roster, the star power, all they need to do is just kind of rely on that a little bit, and that's going to carry them pretty far in this league. But at the same time, wires are going to get crossed with this team. They're not going to dot all the I's and cross all the T's. And Sporting Kansas City had that as the game plan. They saw that they could pounce on these moments and force these mistakes. And he was a massive part of that. Voltaire was going to eat the rest of the game doing that. That's what he did on that play. He he stole the ball in a bad spot and created a chance to score. That was not going to be the only time he did it. But Sporting did very well at that. You could see that was part of the game plan. Tim Leibold stepped up and stole a couple. That's how he set up the first goal doing that. Radoya did it. Tommy did it. So that was a big part of the game plan. That's how you score on this team. And they were ready to do it. And that's something that Remi has a knack for. And, man, losing him for that entire second half really hurt, Robert.
Yeah, but, Remi does not fix the error that led to the third goal. That has nothing to do with Remi Walter.
Right, but I think we score some more.
Possibly, yeah. But there were other issues along the way, of course. So, but, yeah, Remi definitely, he's the heart of that midfield, guys. Radia, he's a solid rock, but Remi is the guy who's moving everywhere, doing everything.
I want to talk a little bit about, we touched on this last week. Someone different is stepping up and finding the magic each week that is keeping Sporting Kansas City in the game. Was Zarek Tommy this time? And like I said, it's keeping them in the games. It's making them competitive, but it is not enough at the moment. And they need something more. And Thad, you would have thought this team would be getting more from Alan Pulido and Daniel Salloi. Did Alan Pulido play in the game last night? We just talked about it. We got the jersey. Did he actually play in the game? I'm not sure.
I think I have a photo of him out there, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure he was
Verified.
on the field.
Verified.
I saw Salloi a fair amount, but, not... did he have, one decent shot maybe? Or, there was something there I seem to remember. But both of them were pretty invisible throughout most of the game.
Alan, I would say of the three that we're talking about here, yeah, he was invisible. But it's kind of the way where they're putting him right now as that second forward. He's not going to show as much as Willie. He's not going to be under that much of scrutiny, if you will, and he's going to float. He's not going to be the last guy in the box with the last shot like Willie is. So the kind of way he's played has been in that position, and he hasn't been as visible, but he's supposed to be a difference maker, and he's not, and that's the problem.
Well, and I understand why they put him there, because he tends to drift back to that place anyway.
Yeah.
So being that with that withdrawn forward or the 10 in that 4-2-3-1, however you want to phrase it, it's kind of where he ends up going anyway. But we haven't really seen much of him this year. The one goal. There's only one goal from him, Salloi, one from Vargas, and 2 from Agata, or 3?
Yeah,
3 or 4. But when we signed Alan Pulido, did we say he's going to be a great link-up player for us? Was that the tagline? No. It was he's going to score goals. He's going to, be the guy. And he just hasn't been.
Well, to be fair, when they re-signed him,
yeah,
that was part of the selling point. Yes, he does all of the work on this team that you want, and he is the link-up guy in addition to scoring goals.
Yeah.
Wow, he was there for a 2-month period while negotiating the new contract. He was scoring goals.
Do you really think that's part of it? Like, I just got my contract, I don't have to put out now?
No, I'm not saying that.
No, you're just putting in more effort when you know your year-end review's coming up. You're like, I'll show up to work on time. Maybe stay a couple minutes late.
Knowing he's got one last contract of his career, putting it all on the line, he did. He was owning MLS. And I don't, a lot of factors go into that. That's not even what I'm blaming. That is the bottom line. That is the case of what happened. He stopped scoring right when we re-signed him, and we need him to be scoring.
When did he come back from injury?
Last year.
At the beginning of the season?
Yeah,
not
April
beginning
or May.
enough. It was
April or May.
It was after 2+ months. 2 months.
You make a good point. 9 weeks in, I guess is what we are, and we're in April. I still feel like it's the baby part of the season.
We're about to hit a third of the season.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Vermes always says you got to get 10 games into the season to know the team you have. I don't know you have to get a full 10 games in.
Yeah, isn't that what the off season is for? That silly stuff they do at Coachella or whatever. That's the other thing. I read so much, and I know that there's a lot of guys in soccer media right now talking about what everyone bombing out of the Champions Cup means, and how Miami had just come from Monterrey on Wednesday, losing 5-2 on aggregate, and how Tata, like many other coaches, is continuing to express frustration over a league rule restriction.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the off season, I don't know what the point of it would be in being longer. And obviously they probably have a reason for why it isn't. However, both the league did not take the proper time to get their stuff sorted in the off season. They literally voted down some relaxation proposal, and then they just instituted something again 8 or 9 weeks into the season. Why? But then also, I feel like teams are not given enough time to get to know each other, and they're also working on an insane deadline with insane restrictions. I'm convinced that every coaching staff and front office spends 80% of their time trying to remember what the rules are for this league or how to circumvent them.
I believe that. I think Sporting Kansas City is better at that specific thing than most. I think Vermes has had a knack for gaming these rules for a small market, quote unquote, small market team.
Listen, he's the longest serving coach right now? That's because he knows how to play these silly rules. We're getting, hopefully, more foreign coaches in who are willing to elevate the game itself. And I remember seeing Hernan Losada at DC United, and then later to Montreal, and then later gone. That was a huge frustration for him, is feeling like even asking for what he needed, he wasn't given, and then wasn't given a reason other than those are the rules. And that, I do feel like the relaxing the rule restrictions, or the roster restrictions rather, that was announced this week is a good move, but I kind of laugh that it's happening in mid-April.
Yeah, it will come into effect for the summer window, which is when all most of the Europe stuff. So, I mean, it does help in that regard, but it does seem ridiculous to be changing rules not before the season. I mean, I don't like that either. But, do you hear that, coaches asking for, I want these type of players or this amount of players or this much money to spend and stuff like that in Europe, where the restrictions are much less and they don't get it because the team doesn't have it to give. So sometimes that comes into play in every situation.
Right.
I know Sporting was really good, though, when at one point they had Megan Cameron was the rules expert because she came from the league, and she was one of the rules experts, and they were able to navigate all those rules, I think, even better at that point.
So back to the game. 38 touches, 1 shot, .04 XG for Alan Pulido. Daniel Salloi, 40 touches, a key pass, 0 shots. And then there's Willie Agata, who you guys pulled me into being a hater of him last week.
Pulled you into? You did enough work yourself.
David told me I needed to give the radio take, like Skip and Shannon and all that, so I kind of did. But no, this is where I've landed with Willie Agata. On an individual play, on any given play, I don't have that much confidence in him that he's going to make it happen. But I do, on a wide scale, I do think he's eventually going to fall into a goal. A ball's going to bounce off of his shin and go in there at some point. And I don't have that feeling with Pulido. Now, it was not a good game for Willie Agata last night, Thad.
No, it was not a good game for him or Allen or Daniel.
Right.
All of them. But why is that? I mean, was it just a bad game for the three of them? I mean, we've already talked about Daniel and Allen only one goal between them for all these games. Is it time to start somebody else and just have them come off the bench?
Man, I don't
Who
know.
else?
Well, we've seen Vargas look good, but in that last appearance, after scoring a goal in one game, he did look a little in over his head that last time that we saw him.
I think something we haven't talked about yet, and it's here, but field dimensions. So, context. Miami plays Monterrey Wednesday night in Mexico. They have to travel all the way to Kansas City. They get to play on a smaller field, smaller than CMP. What kind of game do you want to play against a team that's been in that situation, and against Miami anyway, because their stars are older and they don't have the legs? You want to play a wider open, faster paced game.
Totally agree.
You take away 6 yards of that field, it makes a huge difference. That's 18 feet. And you don't get to play that kind of a game like you want to. Who's good at tight spaces? Lionel Messi, Jordi Alba, Busquets, etc.
It was built for them.
It played into it did give them an advantage. Again, this is one of the reasons I was against moving the game, because it took away home field advantage for Sporting. Made it, if at best, a neutral site game.
One last thing on Willie Agata. David made fun of me if I said micro mistakes last week. And I think that holds up. Willie Agata is just not tight. He doesn't play cleanly. His first touch lets him down a lot. While he will connect a pass, it might wrong foot the player. It's just not quite there for Willie. But again, I still feel like he's inevitable. I think that's the reason I say that Remi was a big moment in this game, was because I think Remi is going to steal one of those in the midfield and set up the play that we're all waiting for, where it just happens to bounce off Willie Agata's shin and goes into the net. And that's why I think the difference was in this game. I do think Willie is inevitable, but he frustrates me. I have to admit that. I am not a hater. I love Willie. I love his smile. He's happy. I love having him on our team, and he's only $200,000. But I get frustrated, man.
I think in your frustration, you don't give as much credit to him as he deserves for certain things. But,
that's fair, but I think I do that because I think other people give him too much credit.
But comparing him to Mr. Consistency, Remi Walter, it's a totally different aspect right there, for sure.
And a totally different position in the field,
Yeah.
where strikers can be streaky and mistakes and score a goal.
I didn't compare him to Remi. I
know, but just kind of in a sense that Willie is inconsistent, Voltaire is Mr. Consistency. Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
But, I mean, that's why strikers get the big bucks, right? Because it's a tough job. It's not an easy job.
It is.
Yeah. So,
and that
everybody's
one play in particular, I think he only had one shot on goal the whole game, Willie. And I'm conflicted on that very play. He gets the ball in the box. He is that poacher, that guy who's always thinking goal, which you want him to do. That's what you want him and the kind of player he is. That's what you want him to do. But also, he turned and it wasn't a good shot. And he had two other options for someone that could have just walked the ball into the net.
Tommy was wide open.
Micro mistakes.
Didn't Messi and Suarez both have a shot directly into Tim the Tree Melia?
Yeah.
So, I mean, even the best in the world still do that.
I'm just saying, again, it's like, it's not a bad it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a bad choice because he got off a shot, but there were better options. So it's not a big mistake, it's a micro mistake.
But looking at the shot stats, Miami 10 shots, 6 on goal. Sporting 10 shots, 3 on goal. So there you go.
After the game, Thad, it looked like Peter and Tim were both pointing at Tim for that third goal. I think in our recap, because I'm writing the recap so quickly and Chad trying to make GIFs so quickly, I think we blamed Jake on that play, trying to get this stuff out, and that is unfair. There was Melia should have, as Vermes said, that's when you gotta just live another day, boot it downfield, and he put Jake in a very tough position.
I completely disagree with you guys. Are we ready to have this conversation?
Oh, okay.
Completely disagree with
I almost didn't even talk about
completely
this.
disagree with Vermes. I disagree completely.
So you see us as Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, and we got to play out from the back every single time, or it's wasting.
No. But I mean, okay, just hoofing the ball down the field. Okay, so let's make this analogy. So a second baseman who picks up a ground ball, flicks it to the shortstop, and the shortstop, has a tough play to make, and he makes a wild throw to first base. Who do you blame?
Well, I got to see the play.
You blame the shortstop because he made the wild throw, right? Not the guy who threw the ball to him. You blame the guy who took that situation and screwed it up.
Right, but
that's what Jake Davis did.
The wild throw in that situation is passing it to Jake, though. That was the wild throw.
No, the second baseman to the shortstop is Melia playing the ball to Davis.
Can we say they both share some in this?
Yeah, he
Because
didn't do with
it was
it
a
what
bad
he-
spot.
Okay,
to
so
Tim.
in any situation, you want to kick the ball down the field, that's a safer play? Sure, of course it is. Duh. It's a low percentage play too, though, right?
Right, not in any
But-
situation.
But here's the problem.
Robert, well, keep the volume consistent.
Here's the
You're
problem.
killing
No,
me.
I'm passionate about this. Here's the problem. Okay, so first of all,
Screw
Melia
the
plays
volume.
this ball to Davis, and Melia drops in position to receive the ball back, which is exactly what he expected to be done. Okay? What does Davis do? And this has been a pattern in the game. He opens his body, drops back, and drops wider. So he has to wait for the ball to come to him, right? What he should have done was, seeing that defender coming aggressively, because there was plenty of space when Melia passed the ball between Davis and that defender. But he came aggressively when the ball came. So Davis, he does the wrong thing. Instead of going to the ball, seeing where Melia's at, it's a simple drop back to Melia, and then the ball goes up the field. But Davis didn't do any of that. He did the absolute wrong thing, and that was Davis's fault.
They're both at fault.
I'll take that.
It was one of those plays.
I'll take Davis 85% faulted.
And against this team, when Luis Suarez is out there, it's just going to get punished.
I appreciate that no matter how old that guy gets, he still is into amateur shithousery.
They showed a shot of him on the broadcast, and he looks like he's 49 years old.
I saw a tweet the other day that said he looked like the third Property brother. And it's
Aren't those guys
so
supposed to
accurate.
be good looking, though? I don't actually know who they are, but I thought that they were. Aren't they kind of famous because they're good looking?
Yes.
We have different taste, but
Well,
I think some people
again,
do.
I don't even know what they look like. I just thought I heard that
like
about
Luis
them.
Suarez with paler skin
Yeah.
and a kinder demeanor.
I mean, now that you say that, I could see there's a little resemblance. I mean, wife and daughter used to like watching that show, so yeah.
Aren't those two just white guys from America
Basically. Yeah.
Or Canada.
or
Yeah,
Canada?
maybe Canada. Yeah. But you gotta love Suarez's passion for winning. He wants to win badly. You can see it in the way he plays, the way he reacts to things.
Right.
I don't
You've
have
got
to
to
love
admire
it.
that.
I don't have to love it because it comes in the form of biting people and trying to break people's arms like he did in the Champions Cup.
I didn't say love it. I said admire.
Right. I think I can give you a couple examples of players in MLS who do that exact same thing. But I think because MLS still feels so intimate to me, I also know their personalities well enough to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
Felipe Martin is a really good example of that, who's in Orlando now. So annoying. Every player will tell you he's so annoying to play against, and he can do a lot of the things Suarez does, but he's such a good dude off the pitch.
Roger Espinoza is one you're describing. Who we
Really?
know,
Exactly.
who we
I
know
was about
very
to
well.
ask, do you guys have a
Red-
good Western Conference example at
Red
least?
Card Roger was his name, but
No way.
truly one of the nicest guys. Like he was the nicest, friendliest,
I
most
love that.
welcoming dude.
And that, to me, theater. I like the theater of it, but yeah, Luis Suarez is so. There's like something going on in that brain that takes it to a level I do not appreciate. Even now, it might be benign, but it's predicated on some like weird stuff.
Something primal.
Putting your so primal. Putting your mouth on another man's body, but like for sport because they got to a ball before you did.
And biting down.
That's what I was going to say.
More than once.
Maybe there's not a lot going on in his brain. He's just primal instincts, animal instincts on like what to do on the field.
That's probably the case.
That's all he's operating with.
I don't know.
But he's a talented primal.
Great player. Yeah, please. Let's all conclude this by saying great player. Great player. We like him.
No, we don't. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. This is becoming one of my new favorite segments on this show, messing with our guests that think we're actually going to take a break.
Yeah.
Should we? Do we want to take a break? We can.
No.
Does everyone have to pee? Is everyone good?
I would love some water. Is that
You know what? Let's take an actual break.
Oh my God. He won't do that for us.
We're taking an actual break. I'm turning on the mics here. We're having a good conversation. Cheyenne is learning about the way we do media games here, and she cannot believe that we actually play on the field at halftime. And now she's also learning about the existence of mascot games. We're doing it right here in Kansas City.
Okay, I envisioned maybe. I actually didn't even realize you guys would have fans in front of you. I thought it was almost like a rec game, an elevated rec game.
Again, check the pinned tweet for the 10,000 people that were in awe of my beautiful header.
That was offside.
Did anyone ask for your jersey?
Blue Testament.
No, I'm keeping that. That one's going up on the wall.
So, yeah, mascot games. That's the one thing I worry about. Soccer, more than any other sport in this country, will attempt to push us toward a more elevated way of being. And I don't want it because the picture that I am looking at right now, oh my gosh, this is a...
We'll put it in the description of the...
This is a pig? What mascot is this?
Oh, see, and that one's... I have no idea. It's a picture of a pig, but like that's a mascot outfit that is cheating because like he's just basically wearing pants and a head. Some of these other people, the Pillsbury Doughboys hobbling around out there.
Listen, the spectrum, though, from eerie, unsettling, uncanny valley, I definitely know there's a human under there, and that's taking away from the magic of it all, to, like, so impressive, not just in how the costume is built, but then also think of, like, the BYU Cougars mascot. That guy does backflips and can dance with the dance team.
Yeah, that guy wouldn't be allowed to play in this game. He's cheating.
You would take him out. Yeah.
He has too much flexibility and mobility.
Which, it's funny. You know what? I'm going to go back to the experience I had at the game. When I was down on the field, I know you guys do that virtual fan experience with someone, a patient at Children's Mercy, and their face is on the iPad and it's on this kind of roller. I chuckled to myself because they had like a runaway robot for a little bit, and the guy was running after it to get it off the field before the game was starting. And then the Sporting Kansas City mascot came up and started dancing in front of it to be like, "Hey, I see you," like pointing and doing a bunch of stuff. And it almost looked like he was performing a TikTok dance. And for some reason, it made me feel he was cooler because of it. But then I thought, no, this is... Mascots, they're not meant to be cool. They're not meant to be cool at all. I want the spectrum.
And that is why I don't like that mascot that we were just talking about that does all these flips and dunks. He's too cool. I don't want a mascot to be cool.
Oh, Cosmo.
They have to be goofy and weird. That's what I want my mascot. That guy that does the flips and the cat, wild cat, whatever he is.
Cougar.
The cougar. There you go. He's too cool. I don't like it.
You just don't want him to be cooler than you.
Well, that's impossible, isn't it?
You know what would be so amazing if Inter Miami leaned into the GOAT thing and either did what like Las Vegas.
Have they not?
No, I mean mascot wise.
That's
Las
good.
Vegas Lights, the USL League One team, has llamas that they bring onto the field and an Elvis impersonator.
I love that club. I love those jerseys, the name. They're doing it right.
Oh, I'm saying why not bring actual goats? You know?
She's onto something.
It's not that I think it's a genius idea. It's that it's so...
It's just right there for you.
Camp and American, you know?
Camp, it is.
It is very camp.
We should have served barbecue
Kitsch,
goat.
perhaps.
Barbecued goat.
Smoke some goat.
You know, this is very off topic, but I moved from California to Georgia in high school, and the coast of Georgia was a very interesting place to me culturally. I went to one school kind of uptown, and there was another school downtown, and the rivalry between these two schools, small town high school rivalry, created an annual event wherein the seniors from my school would, during hunting season, drop off a deer in the parking lot of their school. And the other school once brought like a straight up shark that was fished from the Atlantic Ocean and put it in the bed of someone's truck at our school.
Oh, so they killed a shark?
I mean, it's like when,
Oh, in
like
water.
you fish, yeah.
In water, in the bed of a truck.
No, no, truly, it was dead. It was a dead shark.
Oh,
They fished.
They fished. They fished for it, caught it, killed it.
for a high school prank?
High schoolers are so dumb.
Well, I mean, you're more upset about the shark than the deer.
Yeah,
Both of them were dead.
both of them were killed.
I didn't understand that about the deer part. But I feel for both of those animals.
Hunting
Yeah.
season.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm telling you, culture shock for me, and I don't mean it in a judgmental way. I know hunting's big in Kansas, but
In the name
That's
of
just like-
hunting and fishing, either way, like, I don't necessarily like either of those, but it's better than doing it for a high school prank.
right? Something to think about, you know? I don't know what else you have for...
Anyway, St. Louis.
I know there are deer in that city as well. I don't know what their high school traditions are, but I will say my experience from the fan perspective and why I am going to stick around for this game in person next weekend is because I really, really enjoyed this crazy season that St. Louis had. I went to their first game at their stadium and very much enjoyed watching them play. And then it was just, of course, they would get knocked out by Kansas City.
Were you at that one too?
No, but I enjoyed watching it on TV. But I thought, you know what? The next game that they play, I want to be there.
Yes.
And I don't know if that tension is building.
Electric.
And I wish that St. Louis was still as big as they were this time last year.
Yeah.
I think that would add to it. It might embarrass Kansas City a little bit, but I also feel like Kansas City showed up most games against them last year.
Well, like you said, they had an insane year last year, and it was because they were overperforming their XG by 1,000,000 miles. And
is XG?
well,
What does it even mean?
That's a valid point, but by advanced metrics, they appeared to get lucky last season.
Yeah, and
So there's
Berkey was a god. So
and
there you
Berkey,
go.
yes, and Berkey is incredible. We give him his flowers on this show plenty.
Yeah.
And I think, just this year, I think they're regressing to the mean a little bit. Unfortunately, we're recording this like the Portland and St. Louis game is kicking off right now, so we can't necessarily talk about that.
Austin.
But Austin, not
Austin,
Portland.
yes.
I'm sorry. Go Drissy. But yeah, they have not been playing as good as they were last year, Robert.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic, the numbers, if you look at them. They have 11 goals scored, 11 goals against, and they have 1 win and 1 loss. So 11's across the board, and
Hella draws.
they're in 11th place. So there you go.
Well, again, that is before this game is kicked off. So
Exactly. Right. Could be different afterwards. But no, I mean, Berkey has not been a god this year. That's one thing that's been different. Edward Leuven, their primetime midfielder, has been injured recently, so he's been out. And I tell you what, Klaus up front, if you've watched any of their games, has been, you think Agata's been wasteful? Klaus has been very wasteful with his opportunities.
that's a fine.
I agree.
Turn that mic on.
I'm so sorry. I keep having to clear my throat.
No, those fans, they've been complaining about Klaus, and also they're also dealing with the fire whoever that coach is. I forget his name, but they're already asking the guy to be fired.
Bradley Carnell.
Yes.
Bradley Carnell, who they were horribly offended he did not get Coach of the Year last year, and a couple of months later, get the hell out of here, bro.
That's sports, isn't it, though? Come on. That's why we love it all. But no, I mean, the league has figured out, everybody's saying how St. Louis wants to play. And, Sporting are the ones who turned the tables on them in the playoffs last year and kind of set the template for that. So the league has taken notice for sure.
I think teams had figured them out before that.
Because they had faded down the stretch. Yeah.
And they faded. Because, I mean, it was Red Bull, Energy Soccer, all that stuff. And it doesn't take a lot to figure it out. It just takes a little while to figure out, like, the individual players.
And meanwhile, while they were doing that, while they were just kind of maintaining after that hot start, everyone else in the West was beating up on each other. Yeah. And so they just remained up there, like coasting that entire second half of the season.
I have paid far more attention to the Eastern Conference by nature of where I lived these past several years. The narrative that I keep hearing and have assumed for myself is that the East has consistently outpaced the West in terms of overall conference quality. Would you guys agree with that still?
No, see, I actually meant to have this conversation. I couldn't disagree more. The way I see it is that the East always has maybe one or two good teams that are better than everyone else, and they dominate. And there's a lot of really good teams in the West that beat up on each other. And so in the Supporters Shield standings, that's the way it comes across. There's that team that dominates the weaker East because they're so much better than everyone else in the conference. And yeah, so that's how it turns out. I do think they've seemingly had the best team, the best one team a lot of the years. But no, I think that middle of the pack and maybe even the bottom of the teams in the West are stronger.
Well, you've had the Eastern teams like Philly, Columbus, who have been really consistent the last couple of years and strong. You had Atlanta, which was, up there, and they've fallen back, but they're back up again. The Galaxy just took a big tumble. LAFC has not been quite what they were, 2 years ago. So the Western teams haven't been as consistent, I would say, as some of the top Eastern teams have been.
Right.
I think it just goes back and forth, man. It's just a natural,
it does,
progression where sometimes it's the East is better, sometimes the West is better, sometimes it's a single team is here and beats up on everybody. It's just, I don't know. I think I've been watching it long enough. I just feel like it's just the way it goes. That's not very prophetic.
I'm gonna stew on it.
Tell us why the East is better. Hold on. While I'm only asking you that to filibuster, but now I've already done it. So last year it was Cincinnati, was far and away.
Who came in second and third?
Orlando and Columbus.
Okay.
And St.
look
Louis.
Where Orlando is right now.
And St. Louis was in there, who we in the West were all talking about wasn't even that good. St. Louis is in fourth on this list, and we're all saying there's like 5 other teams that were better than them in the West last year. It's just the way that we beat up on each other.
They were Supporters Shield contenders for most of the year, though, weren't they?
At the beginning, they were.
Right.
Okay.
But
then people stopped gift wrapping them goals.
Right.
Which made a difference. Yeah.
And the second half, no, they were falling.
Yeah, in their first 3 games, you had opposing team players pass to the St. Louis forward.
Oh yeah,
right?
it got comical.
Yeah, right.
It was week after week.
It was crazy. So I mean, again, they got lucky. They took advantage of it. They played well. They did great for an expansion team. So I don't want to disparage them in that regard.
The way that I've always viewed the West is that it's Seattle, LAFC.
Oh, see, you're gonna make me sad that Sporting's not on this list, because if we would have done this 5-6 years ago, I think Sporting does make that list as the perennials at the top of that conference.
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to think of who else I would put in that category. There are some strong teams, but I feel like the bottom of the conference has been relatively the same in the West. On the East, I mean, think of where Toronto has fluctuated.
Mm-hmm.
New England Revolution, who won the Supporters Shield and were contending in all of these.
But I think that's because the middle of the East isn't as good. So they're at the bottom of the league, you get a smidge better, and then they jump up.
The middle of the East is where teams like Atlanta have been hanging out. I mean, I don't know. I've watched so much more Eastern Conference soccer, so it's really hard to
and I've definitely watched more Western Conference. I did a top 5 list last season about top 5 MLS teams you forget about, and they were just all Eastern Conference teams.
Oh, that's so funny, because we make a running joke every time my fantasy league does its draft. We get to the 26th or 27th pick, and we go, "Oh, I guess we left every Houston player."
Oh yeah,
on the cutting room floor.
So we all hate Houston. That's good. I'm glad. to hear
No,
that.
we don't hate Houston.
You picked the
we
right
don't
team.
even
you
think
do.
about
You
Houston.
hate Houston. There you go.
There
You're
I
indifferent.
will say I think about Houston now more than I ever have because of Ben Olsen. But I kid you not, Houston was a team I legitimately forgot existed. I didn't even think about them.
Well,
for
to
several
our
years.
earlier discussion, go back to what 2021, and either Portland or Seattle won MLS Cup 3 out of those 5 years.
Right.
I think. Yeah.
But I would put them in that top category then. Although I really am not familiar with the kind of season that they're having
Yeah.
right now, but they're quite abysmal
Back to the actual game.
for next week.
2 big games, yes. The upcoming game. 2 very big games, 2 barn burners in a row, Robert. This is kind of exciting. St. Louis City, SC City's coming to town.
Yeah, we've won 1 home game, guys.
Yeah, man, it's not, the numbers hurt. Remi Walter was in a boot after the game, Thad. He stopped and talked to us before he got out of there. He was like, they told me there are 3 different injuries, ligaments that you can do your ankle, and they told me I did the good one. So he said he thinks he can tape it up and play this weekend, but if he is unavailable, what do we do against this pesky St. Louis team, Thad?
Depends on whether or not Memo can play because he wasn't available.
I know.
That's I don't know. I mean, you still have Felipe Hernandez. You could put Pulido in. There's lots of things you could do, I guess, right?
Can you put Pulido in, Robert?
He's your star. He's got to break out of this at some point, right?
Yeah, he will.
This would
But
be a
in
great
the
game.
midfield?
But hey, offense hasn't really been the issue. We've been scoring, 12 goals in.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that up. Offense hasn't been the issue, but we have complained about every single one of our offensive players for not doing anything. Alan Pulido, Daniel Salloi, Johnny can't stay on the field, and Willie Agata frustrates me. He's scored some goals, but
Okay, so we've been a little fortunate and had some people stand out in every game. That's true. But we keep giving up these leads. I mean, how many losing points from winning positions now? We added 3 more last night.
yeah, they leveled the match fairly quickly each time. It didn't feel like this was a dropped points. Okay, we scored first. Like now we're just being mad that we scored first. So if they would have scored first, then we don't complain about this game in the same way.
Right. And it was relatively early too. I hate to I don't want to count the loss,
Right.
the points dropped from winning positions when it's just early in the first half. That's
Did you see that crazy stat, though, they threw on the screen? We had only been behind for 17 minutes all season up to that point.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, crazy.
That is insane. I missed that one.
So, you could take that as a bright spot. Like, okay, all they got to do is just a little bit better. A little bit better.
No, that's a valid point because the fans are these games hurt. When we are in them, I get it. It makes it more frustrating. But the reaction of the fans is as though we are losing the first 10 games of the year like we did last year. Like that's how mad people are. We got to fire everyone. This isn't working. We must start over entirely. But there is something to it. Someone, like we said, someone new every week is finding some magic and keeping them in this game. Robert, I don't know. Did this 4-2-3-1 work, or will it work against St. Louis this weekend, or are we doing the same lineup after seeing
What
Willie
we need to
Agata?
work next week is Logan and Dembe to step back on the field.
Yes.
That's what we need.
We need Logan to get back. That's for sure.
I saw him running around the field last week. That's a good thing.
Yeah, he looked fit. Saw him last night.
Nice.
I don't think he'll be ready though.
So what do? Are you putting both strikers on the field last night, or are you putting Alan Pulido in his position at the top of this 4-3-3 and seeing if he can get it done?
Well, that's the Thad's point. What else is there? So if Rodriguez is available, I think you might see Pulido up front. You might see Rodriguez take Voltaire's spot. If he's not available, do we want to do Felipe Hernandez, or we'd rather have a guy up top and Pulido in the midfield and go from there?
But it's more than one issue. Is Johnny Russell ready? Because
Yeah.
if you want to be putting Pulido up top, you need to pull Tommy back. It's not one easy answer right at the moment, because if Memo it can go 70, can Johnny go 60, can
Right.
Remi go 60, can there's
But for a game like this, which, okay, it's wrong, arguably, to say that this is a big game. We've only won 1 at home out of 5.
It's a big game. Rivalry games are big.
It is. Do you want a younger player, a less experienced player like Felipe Hernandez in this situation?
No.
Or are you going to go with your vets who you're more confident in this situation?
And Kyrie Shelton should be available.
Oh, should he? He's
Thad.
back?
Oh, my God.
No, I don't. Someone brought
See,
up
Cheyenne,
Memo.
this is Thad at his best. Just throwing out little things like that at us just
Yeah,
to
I
make
was
us.
like, oh man, yeah, that's a little stir of the pot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
don't.
is.
I don't know if she fully understands the stir of that.
Oh no,
pot, but she
I
understood
do.
it.
I will say I do participate in MLS fantasy, and the conversations had throughout the season, and then again at every draft is, yeah. Remember that one goal Daniel Salloi scored last year that made you think, boy, he'd be a guy worth picking up. Do not fall for the trick. It's a conversation.
Remember that one season he had when he was an MVP candidate? Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, like Dom Dwyer days at this point.
Cheyenne, didn't I hear you say that you just picked up Eric Tommy before he had this big game? Mm-hmm. I mean, well done.
You know, yes, but also it does not come with times where I suffer, and that is having Kyrie Shelton on my lineup or in my lineup last season. So
My
Kyrie-
estimation of you just went down slightly.
Kyrie is
It's
one
hard.
heck of a nice guy, but don't put him in your lineup.
you know what? Fantasy is hard. I'm going
It
to pat
is.
myself on the back. You guys have a well of knowledge with this team, and my knowledge of teams across the league is literally league wide and maybe a foot deep, which is hard.
Yeah. I
Oh,
feel
so
you
you're
on
an
that.
Apple TV commentator. Oh,
Hey, well
Oh.
done.
I wish that would be no, honestly, other than what calling games or doing color, I would have to do 360 stuff, and I'm not cut out for that. I can't banter with people for that long.
Well, no, neither can they really.
They
that's
really
the joke
can't.
he was making.
Yeah.
there
Oh,
was-
yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Well, see, I'd be even worse at it. I jokes would fly all the way over my head. Yeah. You know what? If I'm being honest, I have watched the wraparound show twice this entire season, and I watch probably 3 to 4 games at the least a weekend.
Well, I will say there was the game where Sporting kicked off way early. I think maybe the 6:15 game, and then there was the Sunday game or a noon game. And on those weeks, it was nice to watch the rest of MLS. I have my problems with MLS 360 and the way they actually do that broadcast. But yeah, it was very nice to do all of that. And I'm using MLS Fantasy this year to help me get a deeper knowledge of the rest of the players. And I think that's helping. And I just want everyone to know, everyone knows I'm a Messi fan, that I see him for what he is, even though others on this show do not. But I did not put him in my fantasy lineup last night.
Idiot.
I am an idiot, but I did it because I love Sporting Kansas City.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. That's how dudes lose fantasy every year. You're not putting money on this, are you?
No.
Okay, good.
No. But I had to say that because I let it slip. It's the
Oh,
truth, but I
yes.
let it slip last week that I said the words out loud. I hope I see him score.
Okay, here's the thing.
So I had to,
I obviously know you guys have an allegiance here that means more than probably every other fandom I've ever had. But it is perfectly normal to hope for a Messi goal and a Sporting Kansas City win.
oh yeah.
Thank you.
That
yeah.
is the best
Oh, yeah.
of both worlds. And you got halfway there. It happens. But I go back to how long this season is. I feel like him scoring or you guys losing doesn't matter here. They're not a conference competitor. They are actually not. They have a worse defense than most, I feel. So they get lucky when guys like Messi perform or pick up the slack for everybody.
It's a
But-
valid point. I mean,
Right. And they're all so tired.
they are.
Those guys cannot compete in their conference very well right
It's a valid
now.
point. It does matter. It hurts that we, arguably gave up a home game to do this and then lost the home game.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it does hurt, but yes, you're right. It's an Eastern Conference thing. It could have hurt more, but just the way this team has been dropping points, yeah, and the way that there was a result there for them, it felt like I think they played good, and it felt like there was a result there. So, Yeah,
It's
that
still
one
3
does
points
hurt.
dropped, man.
It is.
3 points.
It is.
Well, how wide is the berth for playoffs this year? You guys will probably make it.
I know that. See, that's a valid point. We went the first 10 games last year thinking that it was entirely over after the first 10 games, and
Right.
they were able to come back.
And what did you do to St. Louis?
Yeah.
Crushed their entire season where they put in so much more effort than you guys did.
And remember, this is
So
something
much more effort.
This is
What?
something we forget about. It wasn't that it took the whole season to come back from it, and then we just snuck in the playoffs. There was so much time in the season that they made it above the playoff line at one point and then had another rough stretch and fell all the way back down and then climbed back up again. So they're in a decent spot right now, and we've at least seen enough from the team that they're going to be in matches, and that if they can figure something out or bring someone in the summer window, then there's going to be something there for us at the end of the season.
And maybe you can redirect your energy toward preying on the downfall of teams like the Sounders
St. Louis City,
or
SC City.
LA Galaxy, who are doing actually quite well right now.
Who just beat Sporting a couple of weeks ago at home.
In the worst fashion
Woof,
possible.
Can y'all get it together? No, I'm just kidding.
That's what people are saying to Peter. No.
Right. Yeah, I love that I'm finding all of this stuff out there. Like, yeah, this is actually what we watch every day. This is what we see.
This is our angst that we live all the time.
I'm just that drive-by commenter, you know. It's like,
Well, I'm glad you're going to be here for the game.
I'm
now,
so
Now that
excited.
you're actually staying for it. So
yeah.
we never do this because we always do this on Sunday. It's always more of a reaction to the last game, and we're never amped up and previewing the next game properly. So you're in town. We're going to do this again. We're going to have another pod, and we're
Oh.
going to talk about the upcoming game.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay.
You just have to pick me up and drive me here.
I will. Thad, say something prophetic before we get out of here.
I'm glad Cheyenne was here.
A little pandering, but I'll take it. Sporting!
Thank you.
The other side don't seem so tough, and 3 own goals ain't all that rough. Our skipper has just been sent off. Some pointers strong have all gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking.